We're getting more specifics about what happened and who is responsible. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has that part of the story tonight.
3 teams of attackers struck 6 sites across Paris. Details are now emerging about who the attackers were, their links to each other, and to ISIS in Syria and Iraq. Among the assailants, a 29-year-old French citizen who had been arrested 8 times between 2004 and 2010, but never jailed. 3 of the attackers lived in Belgium. They were not known to French intelligence. The cars used by the attackers were rented by a French citizen in Belgium prior to the attack. A Syrian passport was found outside the football stadium, and the Greek government said one of the attackers was a Syrian refugee who passed through Greece on October 3rd. All 7 attackers wore suicide bomb vests. They also used AK-47 Kalashnikovs, according to the French prosecutor.
3 individus porteurs d'armes de guerre en sortent.
3 individuals carrying military weapons got out, burst into the hall and opened fire while the concert was going on. The terrorists mentioned Syria and Iraq during negotiations.
So what impact, if any, will the attack in Paris have on the U.S. and NATO military strategy against ISIS in Syria and Iraq? The U.S. has carried out more than 7,000 airstrikes against ISIS targets. The French were the first NATO ally to join the U.S. in bombing ISIS in Iraq a year ago, and recently began airstrikes in Syria in September. The French aircraft carrier, the Charles de Gaulle, was scheduled to leave for the Gulf in the coming days after the USS Theodore Roosevelt pulled out, leaving the U.S. for the first time in years without an aircraft carrier in the Middle East. As the attack in Paris was underway, 2 American F-15s flew from England to Libya, where the Pentagon says they bombed a known ISIS leader, an Iraqi who is believed to have been the voice on a recent execution tape showing Coptic Christians beheaded on the beach in Libya.
Since the attack in Paris, the French have not carried out any airstrikes in Syria, according to U.S. defense officials who I spoke to tonight, Bret.
You know, Jennifer, we heard the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee say and criticize, I guess, the president for that contained ISIS in Iraq and Syria. It's important to point out that the U.S. and allies are having some success.
Well, they are. If you look at Sinjar, in fact, I talked to somebody over in Iraq today, and the Kurds have basically gone in and cut that highway from Raqqa to Mosul. You might wonder why it took them a year to call in the airstrikes that allowed the Kurds to move forward to do that. But tonight, we do understand that the Kurds are pretty much in control of that key highway.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Jennifer, thank you.